All right, welcome back to Supplement Kitchen Reviews. We have our Behind the Brand again today, and we've got Spartan Physique on with us to learn a little bit more about the brand, let you guys know about who they are, what they stand for. So let's get started. All right, so we'll jump right in. And first question for both of you. On a personal level, tell everyone a little bit about yourselves.
I'll let you start.
So we first met in high school. We actually didn't really like each other at first, but then we started lifting together and stuff, and we actually learned about each other, and we actually became really good friends. I think, and the reason why is because one, we are both really inclined to working out and learning about the body, about supplements and stuff, and also because of our character. We have pretty strong values on well, just kind of like, I don't know. We find a lot of value on truth. We want to keep things real, and we kind of connected on that level.
Yeah. So from what I remember, I'm not gonna speak for Arturo, but with me, I started lifting freshman year, really like hard, like 5 hours a day, hard. Like it made no sense, Now you look at it when you get more experience, and you're like 5 hours, dude. I wasn't doing anything for 4 hours, Like, you were doing something, but you know. And so, we then I met Arturo sophomore year, and then we kind of I think we started becoming friends junior year, and we were kind of lifting, and I was all into the supplements. I was like looking at just different, like, kind of like shortcuts, because all the time, we're all inclined to take shortcuts. You're always like, oh, I can take, this and lift more weight, or I get more endurance or whatever, and it's like, I always tried to find it the natural way, because like a lot of people around me, and I don't have anything against like bodybuilding myself. A lot of people around me are like, oh, you can't do steroids, this and that, and I now I look at it as it's a free choice for whoever wants to do whatever they want.
Different goal.
Yeah, so that's how we kind of got it. How I got into the supplement thing. So a couple of years after, I had an idea. I was like, well, let me make a supplement. Let me make a pre-workout. So because I thought pre-workout was the best for, it's no bull, really. It's not, the idea is not to promise, like, oh, you're gonna get huge, or your HGH levels are gonna increase 300%. Like we don't know that, no one really knows that, yeah, there's some studies, this and that, and so that's why the pre-workout is kind of cool, because we put, I put my knowledge into it. Arturo put some of his knowledge into it, some practical stuff, and so here we are, 23 and trying to get started,
Yeah. I mean, definitely some things there. I'm 30, so I grew up in the 90s, in the early 90s and stuff. So when you talk about steroids and things like that, that's coming from the end of the era kind of esque into kind of where we sort of got rolling into today. But that's another thing, with supplements and things like that as well, is how it brings people together is awesome. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but just the community, if you can get a good community and a good a fan base around you, or family to say, then the things just roll a lot smoother. So it's cool to hear that story. And how long have you guys kind of been around?
We just started the pre-workout. You mean? Okay, yeah. Just started. So it was a pretty rocky road. Like figuring, because we always call each other. Like because we don't use Instagram super, heavily. We're not like social media. We're I think that's kind of where Arturo is getting to, like where we have kind of like old fashioned characters, like we like the kind of the, okay, we know that if you want to be in the, you want to look some way, it's going to have some steps, there's going to be some discipline, there's going to be, you're going to need good people around you, things like that, you're going to need, good food and things. So, yeah.
Yeah. So back to that question, we just started. Maybe we've been around for like maybe 2 months. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. A fit, I would say. Yeah, we'd actually had the pre-workout in our hands for 2 months. I've been doing it for a year before I met Arturo, or before I got together with Arturo. And then it took about a year for us to finish it up and actually make it into a real thing. So
cool. Okay. Yeah, definitely. That'll actually roll us right into kind of our next start. So let's start talking about the brand. What the name? Where's the name come from?
Again, with that kind of old mentality, we kind of really like the idea of, like the Spartans mentality that they had, where they had to always be pushing each other, always making each other better. And they had a really strong sense of like family and brothership, and all that. Yeah, and obviously they were natural, so that's kind of where we also get that natural physique kind of inspiration.
Yeah. And the idea, how I imagined it too, was like if you think of a Spartan, you imagine a certain type of physique, right? So and generally, it was they did, I believe historically it was, they did take care of the warriors well, because they knew that they had to be at their best or at their prime, because they were a small place, they had to defend bigger, against bigger armies and so on. So I think that kind of ideology, I guess, is the goal. That's what we want the brand to show, to kind of like push people, and that's the thing, is like we don't, Spartan isn't a huge dude. It's not like the most ripped dude. It's also not the strongest dude. It's a well-balanced, kind of guy. He can, good endurance, good strength, kind of working on everything, and being the best you can, because not everyone's going to be, a pro bodybuilder, or something.
True.
And I've been lifting forever, man.
Yeah, that is a misconception, definitely, when it comes into like fitness. That's one bad thing about social media, kind of coming back to what you were saying, is nowadays with social media and things like that, is everybody has this concept of fitness, the influencer type body or whatever it may be. But that's definitely a misconception. Everybody's different in weight, height, background, whatever it may be. So things are going to impact people a lot different, and we've got to kind of change that mentality across the landscape. That's one thing that's wrong with the industry, and that's one thing that we kind of strive to do here, is try to change and make people understand. Look, you're not going to be a bodybuilder. As long as you're living a healthy lifestyle, you may have a dad bod, mom bod, you may be ripped, you may not be ripped, but as long as you're getting out there, getting after it, that is the main thing. Exactly. So cool. I like y'all's old school kind of mentality. I'm liking it. I'm digging it. So let's jump into the product. I believe this is right now the only thing that the company has. So let's talk about it. Tell me a little bit about
it. So I kind of, like I said, earlier, when I was younger, I really got into the supplement thing. I really read like, what does leucine exactly do? And I was on a whole thing, like a whole path of like, I'm gonna be a nutritionist, or a chemist or something like that, so I can study this kind of thing, because it was at that time it was, and it still is, a huge interest of mine. Now I'm not, not so much into the school anymore, but. So I tried to take the best supplements that, I I saw that had the most research, the most kind of, even just in a practical term, has been used pretty, people know it, So, things like we have, creatine in there, L-citrulline in there, kind of the basic beta-alanine, and they're better studied. We know creatine now, is very well studied. It's one of the most studied supplements, in the supplement industry, and it is effective. We know that it's effective. And then you get to and then kind of mixing that into the practical thing. Some people do gain weight on creatine faster than others. Like I can't gain weight. I can take like 40 grams of creatine and not gain anything, like no water weight, nothing, So you take I tried to kind of combine these and find the best top ingredients that, work and put them together, and I wanted all of them to be like agonistic in a sense, so they would work together, and that was the whole idea kind of on the ingredient side of the pre-workout.
Cool. Yeah, it's definitely I'm actually going to start running this week. I wanted to get through this interview first, but so I knew a little bit more about the background, but I'm definitely intrigued to jump in there and see what it's about, including the ashwagandha. That's definitely going to be interesting to see how that kind of pairs in there. I'm definitely excited. So it's definitely going to be different, and I like what you guys have done, because nowadays, let's face it, you go in the market, just about 80% of everything is going to have your basic 5 or 6 ingredients, and that's about it. So now to stand out in this market, to be honest with you, I've been doing this now for 3 years and seeing these different things and talking to different people in the industry. You got to be different. I mean, we've kind of, and also the industry's kind of hit a standstill. It's no more like big ingredients that have hit the market lately. There are some things in the works, but it's kind of now it's like, who has the best flavor? And so if you can kind of
that was a huge deal for us. So, I think that we still have a lot to work on the flavor, in my opinion. I think we can get closer to what I imagine the flavor should be.
Yeah, and then again, we're also only using natural ingredients for everything. We have no artificial colorings, no artificial sweeteners. So trying to find that good flavor that is going to appeal to customers is kind of difficult.
Yeah, and we knew that people drink. So kind of side story, but we got into a point where we don't take supplements in flavor anymore, because I cannot drink the same protein shake every single day in the morning and in the afternoon or whatever the deal might be. So now I take a teaspoon and I just scoop pure leucine, and I'll just mouth it and drink it, drink sweet drink, so I don't have to taste it so much, and it's still better than some of the artificial, like if I have, I don't know, like sucralose or something, I can taste it. So I have that aftertaste, and I can't stand that. So, I knew it was going to be a struggle, and with the natural flavor, I think it definitely has that more natural appeal. I mean, I won't get into, what I think about it, so I don't like skew your, review, but it was a struggle for sure.
It's stevia based, right?
Yes, it's stevia based. Yep.
Yeah. So, well, the good thing about that, now we've kind of hit a point in the last three or 4 years to where a lot of people are going to that natural per se type deal. So, I mean, I'd say nowadays the market is probably split pretty. It used to probably be at the lower side of that, but now it's split pretty heavily, almost down the middle. I'd say it's probably like a 60-40 for people who prefer regular artificial over natural, which stomach issues, things like that, come from that sucralose and things like that. For a lot of people nowadays, GI distress is a big deal. So, I'm going into it. Believe me, I've had my fair share of naturally sweetened products, and like you said, it's hard. It is hard to tailor to that for someone who isn't in that realm or cares for that realm.
Right.
But it is what it is. And like I said, I'll give you my honest opinion on it. And I'll even have a few other people kind of try it and bring their opinions over to the review, because I know it's definitely important for a smaller brand starting out to get that honest feedback, because that's kind of my next question, and we'll roll in that in a minute. But for you to kind of grow, develop, and kind of move on. So cool deal. I like it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong on the stevia too, just quickly, it does have an aftertaste too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just different aftertaste. So it depends on what aftertaste. Again, that's why, like you're saying, you know, multiple people have to try it out, so.
Yeah, and, you know, I've had a couple of these raw, like ashwagandha raw, and a couple of these other ingredients. You know, it's hard to cover up some of that, no matter whether it's natural or artificial. So, you know, maybe if you're a beginner, you're really going to care about that. But people who are experts or have been taking supplements, all that they really care about is the performance aspect of it. So, you know, flavor kind of goes out the window at that point, like you were saying.
Yeah, that's how it kind of was with us too. You know, it was like first ingredients, like all I cared about was the ingredients, and then I got to a point I was like, okay, I'm done. Now I have to figure out the flavor, and you got to try it, you know, for yourself. So we had to get some sent to us, some samples, you know, and we were trying them out, and our first sample, oh man, it was bad.
Was it the same flavor, or was it a different flavor?
It was the same flavor. It was just artificial. It had sucralose in it and other, whatever the other one is. I don't know what it's called, but it just, we tried it. What we did was, because we got a little bottle, like a smaller one in comparison to that one, and we saved a little bit so we can try it, you know, like right next to each other with the newer ones. And after we tried it, then it was like a huge, when we first tried it and we didn't know what to expect, it wasn't that bad. But when we compared it, it was like,
that's normally how the first batch goes. I'm going to tell you, you know, from talking to so many people, that first batch, you rarely get it right the first time. So that's funny. So let's jump into more upcoming. What's kind of your goal, or do you have more products in your mind, or how's that kind of looking?
Definitely. I mean, yeah, the goal is to kind of, you know, work with my passion, at least. I'm not going to speak for Arturo again, but you know, I want to work in the industry and meet people in that industry, you know, and expand, and maybe, you know, and definitely coming, you know, with this brand, I want to make, you know, definitely some products. I want to make my, you know, a next one would either be a more extreme version of this kind of pre-workout, or some sort of sleep supplement, you know, because I think those are two really kind of like, I don't know, I feel like those are useful for me, maybe, so that's kind of like, you know, why. But that's kind of where the goal is, you know. That's the idea. If we can get, you know, if people like our stuff, and obviously improving this one, you know, that's our, obviously, the first step, you know. We gotta get down the flavor, you know, of what people think, you know. See the effects, you know, if it's strong enough, or if it's too strong, or if it has too much tingles. I don't know, some people don't like tingles. I've been reading a lot of reviews, so, you know, it depends on what our audience, what people who are going to buy it from us, what do they want, you know. So so we might have to adapt a little bit, you know. And I'm fine with meeting them halfway. I mean, it's kind of, you know, what they need. So
so kind of the purpose of the whole thing is to help people kind of achieve their goals, you know, easier and in a more natural way. So we kind of have to, you know, help them get there.
Yeah, and that's balancing, you know, right flavor with like you're saying, the performance aspect. You know, for some people, you know, we're probably not going to be selling to huge bodybuilders, because I think it'd have to be like 14 times stronger. But those, you know.
Yeah. Well, cool. That, I mean, and one thing you said that really stands out that I love, especially when people talk about this and they're brand owners or whatever it may be, is it's what I would take. You know, when you say you're making a product and you would take it specifically, that's a big thing, because if you're making a product and it's a crap product and you're not even taking it,
Right.
you're selling it just to make a buck.
Yeah. I'm
No.
not. Yeah, that's yeah, definitely, and that's a part of character. You know, you can't. I mean, you can't. You know, business is business or whatever, but you know, this is what I love. You know, like if I have this business in 20 years, I'm gonna be stoked. You know. So, because, you know, I mean, who knows, you know, then you can get, maybe, you know, eventually I'll have a gym, you know, and we can put this out, you know, or whatever it might be, you know.
Yeah, cool. That was just one thing I wanted to point out with that stands out. All right, so I think we may have touched on this, but I want to just nail it one more time. What is like your targeted audience? If you had to say you were tailoring this to one specific audience, who would that be?
I would say athletes. Specifically, we wanted to kind of like, we wanted gym people, but we were thinking like, because CrossFit doesn't have a lot of like, I feel like they don't have a very strong, like, they're not getting marketed to very well. And I don't know if, you know, if maybe I'm just not seeing it because I watch more, like, I'm more into like actual gym, like bodybuilding gym. So I don't know if it's that, or, but that was kind of our idea, because CrossFit athletes are pretty much the well-rounded kind of like this, you know, the Spartan kind of idea, like lifting heavy stuff different ways, good endurance, you know, usually they look perfect, you know, like physique wise, you know, and they might not be as big, you know, as strong as a power lifter or bodybuilder, but you know, they're
well-rounded. Yeah.
So I don't know if that, you know, that's, we're thinking of targeting, you know, that audience and seeing, you know, if that works out, and then we'll see.
Yeah. That's definitely, well, they definitely have more endurance than regular. I can't do half the CrossFit stuff. I've tried it a few times. That stuff is tough.
Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not a CrossFit guy. I use this for the gym, you know, so I don't want to discourage people from using the gym, just for the gym.
Yeah. But no, and that is a good audience, to be honest with you. You know, I was talking to, I think, another brand about this a couple months ago, but CrossFit has grown so much over the last 5 years. You know, 5 years ago, it was all, like I said, bodybuilding and in the gym stuff, but now it's kind of evolved. You know, now you're seeing CrossFit here, CrossFit there, you know, so hey, it's definitely a good way to kind of swing it and, you know, starting out. But like you said, this can be used anywhere, so it's not going to persuade anybody.
No, and you know, and that transition, you know, I think there's a huge thing to see on the transition. Like bodybuilding used to be, like, if we look at Arnold, you know, and there's a huge, in the bodybuilding world, there's a huge controversy about this, you know, like Arnold's physique for the regular person is much more appealing than Ronnie Coleman's. It just is, you know, although Ronnie Coleman is a beast himself and he's like ridiculous, it's still, you know, for a normal person, because, you know, we look at that and we're like, dang, Arnold had like that Greek god body, you know, or what, you know, whatever, you know. So, and I think that's coming because we thought those were possibly natural, you know, like back like 10 years ago, like I don't know if it was just me, but like I didn't think Arnold was on steroids, you know. I was like, that's possible, like I can get there one day, you know. Like I was younger, obviously, you know, but you know, it's still kind of like a natural look, you know, and so maybe people are, yeah, and this is just a theory, you know, maybe people are going to the CrossFit just because they're like, well, you know, bodybuilders are kind of just like, you know, eat a lot, you know, go to the gym and lift really heavy weight, whereas, you know, CrossFit, like, and, you know, so maybe that's a part of the move. I don't know, you know, but it's just something I thought about as well, you know, so.
Very well. I mean, that could definitely be a point. You know, a lot has come out over the last 10, 12, whatever years about certain things. And, you know, the FDA has kind of cracked down a lot, too, to set, you know, and throw that out there. You know, that's another joke in the industry. We'll get into that maybe another time. But, yeah, and you know, I mean, back in my day, you know, I'm saying that I'm 30 years old, but, you know, back then, the first pre-workout was like NO Explode. And come to find out, everybody thought that or Jack 3D, things like that. But Explode, everybody thought that was stuff. It was awesome. Come to find out nowadays, when you look back, all that stuff was sugar and creatine. That's all it was.
I know. Yeah, like my parents used to be like protein, like whey protein, like straight, like it was like for them it was like cocaine, and I was like hiding it in my room, and like bringing my milk upstairs, so like it makes my protein, and I felt like a druggie because they're like, no, that's steroids, basically, and I was like, so yeah, I think it, in that mentality, and that's in my head too, like as I was growing up, and my parents are from Europe, so they're extra strict, so yeah, it's definitely
it is. It's crazy, but that movement's kind of transitioning, but it's good. It's a good thing though for the industry, I think, as a whole, because one, I think it gives more people kind of somewhere to go and exercise. That is the main thing. Like you guys said earlier, the main thing is about helping people, or people helping themselves. And as long as you're out there trying, I don't care if you're 400 pounds, and as long as you're busting your butt in the gym every day, I don't care if you stay 400 pounds, at least you're in there trying. And that's one of those things. So, all right, let's move on to some in-depth kind of questions. So, what's the biggest challenge you guys have faced right now, and how are you going to overcome it?
I'll let Arturo answer on this one. We both know the answer to this one, but
I think the main thing right now is the social media aspect of it. Yeah, because a lot of advertising and stuff, it's truly on social media nowadays. So since we're not really familiar with it, it's been difficult. So I think we just gotta get over our comfort zone and just start taking more pictures of ourselves, because we don't like to take pictures of ourselves.
Yeah, we're hardcore introverts. So like this meeting for us, like mentally prepared for 3 days. So like we got to get out of our comfort zone, and we and that's the thing, is we have been lifting for a while. So we do look good, like we could, help ourselves, in at least in the marketing aspect, and getting that organic traffic, for free, because right now we don't have a lot of money, because we just started out. We sold like 10 bottles, like we don't have money to be like, oh, Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out a way that we can kind of get that organic traffic and convert, and then see, and then the next step, hopefully, we'll get a review from you guys, but get a review from our customers, and see what we can improve, because we only have a smaller order, so we have like 250 bottles left, I would say, so because we want to make that next shipment better, and then again better, and then eventually we'll get bigger shipments. So because it is more expensive when you get smaller shipments, and so it's a thing, but it's a risk, it's worth taking it, so.
Hey, if I would have gotten into fitness or stayed into fitness, my story is way long. But anyways, if I would have stayed into fitness, and I would have probably been that guy I wish I would have taken that jump now and tried to create a supplement. I still could, or create a gym. Nowadays, that's one big thing that's been on my mind where I live is possibly going that route. But to kind of stay on task, just back to what you guys have said, when I first started doing this back in 2017, I had just got back into fitness and started. I was severely overweight, depression, things like that. But anyways, and I had started doing written reviews. I wasn't on YouTube. I wasn't in front of the camera or anything like that at first. So I started doing written reviews, and then my buddy, my partner, in 2019, we was like, let's go ahead and let's move to the YouTube. And we moved to the YouTube, and if you go back and see some of our older videos, you'll see there has been a huge transformation from, at least I know we're in the best shape of our lives, but we have changed dramatically, and that's what this has done. I was shy, and I still am a shy person, but You know, once you get out there and you get through those first couple hurdles,
Yeah.
it's good. The one thing I do want to warn you though is you got to be ready for this world, man. They are brutal. I'm gonna tell you, especially on YouTube, they are brutal.
But man, oh no, that's exactly yeah. We'll see. I can't say I've never been criticized by thousands of people, so we'll see.
The world is a harsh place, is all I can say. But that's one thing where you learn. You just kind of, for me, I have had comments on YouTube and things like that back before I had like actually gotten into pretty good shape. About, look, dude, you look like you're eating 4 Big Macs a day or whatever, and it's things like that that kind of hurt,
right,
but then it pushes you. And that's the thing that has helped me just block all that out and keep pushing. So you guys can do it. I promise.
Man. Good for you. And I what was nice for you is those small steps, like that written, writing it out first, is a smaller step than going, especially nowadays, it's like on YouTube, there's so many people now, back when people started, when YouTube was starting, it was like 100 people watching, like 100 users on YouTube, and now it's like, every video has like 10 million views, so you're like, oh my God, if I put a video out here, and then 3,000 people see it, for sure. So
that's the other thing is you can't worry about and this is another problem. And you're younger, so you guys are kind of in that generation of like social media kind of really, you've been brought up in through that for the most part, but we're so caught up in how many likes or how many comments we get or how many views we get, but does it really matter? Because nowadays, you think about it, half of the probably Instagram influencers or half of the whatever, there's so many bots, there's so many fake followers, so many fake views, so many fake likes.
That's true.
How many of these 10,000 view videos are really 10,000 views?
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that they're not, because I have friends who are on YouTube as well, and I hope to God that all their views are legit, but it is what it is. If I get 10 views on a video, I get 10 views. If I get 200, I get 200, but it is what it is. And it's just fun for me, and it keeps me on track to my fitness. And that's the main thing. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But you guys got it. I promise. And, I'll be, now that we're kind of acquainted, I'm definitely glad to help you guys in any kind of way that we can and kind of support you through that. So,
we support you guys. I want to know more about your story. Maybe we, I don't know if we can do this now, but, later on, if we can call and, I would like to hear your story as well, it's inspiring, to hear other people's stories, different paths, but,
definitely. Yeah. We'll link up, we'll try and set something up for another weekend and link up on that, because sure, it'll be kind of a longer story.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, that'll be good to hear.
Cool deal. Let's turn it back on you guys though. I want to make sure this is your spotlight. So let's jump into this. What are some of the best resources that have helped you guys along the way with starting this brand and supplements?
Google.
Hey.
It's from the resources specifically for the supplement aspect, I did use
Examine.com.
Examine.com was one of my favorite websites. People should go check that out. It's really kind of nice because you can see, it's mostly unbiased. I don't know. I haven't read everything, so I won't say that everything's unbiased. But from what I've read, it's all, scientific. And then he puts like arrows. So you have like 3 arrows in a row, and it shows you if one is like, filled up, then it's like minor effects, 2 are filled up. It's like, adequate effect, and then, extreme. And then it tells you how well it's been researched, like if it's, researched heavily or only a few studies, or, how big the studies were, and so on. So that's really nice because it kind of gives you the shortcut where you generally would go to like NCBI to see the research, to actually read the research, and then you have to identify, okay, was this research conducted properly or whatever, and so he kind of does that for you. So that's really nice, a really nice website that I like to look at to kind of just see what the benefits are. And that's what I was doing to kind of like compare, which how much of what I should put, because what's more effective, what's more important to have more of, or whatever. And so, because he does kind of give you even the dose amounts, what you shouldn't take it with, what you should take it with. So it's kind of, it's a cool website. If you're ever interested, you should check it out too.
Yeah. I never heard of it, but I'll definitely have to check that out. Sounds interesting. Sounds helpful.
Yeah. So that was for the ingredients part. Google, I found, we did our actual product, like the powder, like mixing it and stuff with NutriCaps. I don't know if other people use that company. So that's how we put the product together and the label as well. That was a struggle too, man. Jeez. I didn't, you never thought it would be such a struggle. You're like, okay, man, yeah, like make it look good, decent, and so.
Yeah, people who think starting or making a product is a cakewalk. I've talked to so many people, and I thought it was too, but there are so many leaps and hoops and boundaries to go through.
Little things that you would never come up with, you have no idea, like, man, and sometimes just the communication too, man. Like communication was rough, like I had something in my head, that I was imagining like how I wanted it to be, and I'm trying to tell this dude who's quit, dude, and he's doing it completely wrong, I'm like, dude, would you not understand, so it's difficult because again, you're working with other people, you got a team, basically, so it's right. Yeah, it's not easy. So, and I wish because the company's in Georgia, so I believe it's in Georgia, right?
I think so.
I think it's in Georgia, yeah. And I can't just fly out there, and be like, go into there, and start trying it out, and like, like, hey, where's your manager,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's maybe once I buy, 10,000 bottles, then I'll be able to do that. I don't know. They might respect me more, but
and
I don't know.
Actually would like to do that. Go out there, and actually see where they make the supplements and all that, and check it out, and just see that it's legit, that it's good.
Yeah. Eventually we are, gonna go check it out. Obviously they have, I did the research on the company as well. So they have what, they have like different, they produce other things as well. They're not just for supplements. I believe they have also foods and things like that. So they have like organic food, things like that. So they seem like a good company, but at some point, once we can become a little bit more picky, with what manufacturing company we can use, we can kind of go out there and kind of, see the conditions and things like that. Because I feel like that's important. I would like to know where it came from. So,
that it looks clean.
That it looks clean, and so.
Well, that's another big thing, when you talk about that and starting a brand, we learned through this. Well, I've learned through this industry, and I'm sure you guys will as well, is you definitely want to don't spot check your manufacturer and make sure you're getting exactly what you need in here, because I hate to say it, but there are manufacturers out there who do cut corners, who do skimp on things, and end up putting extra crap in here that you really don't need. Not saying that's happening, but
No. Yeah, I definitely read about that, and so, luckily, like with our pre-workout, like you'll see, like the BioPepper in there, you can't really mix it as well, so you'll see little black parts, and then the choline in there, that'll be little yellow, kind of, because just the way that they, mix and like. So, for example, like if you have branch amino acids, they shouldn't be mixable in water. Generally, they're hydrophobic, so they separate in water, right? They clump and they're really hard to mix, And so I don't know what supplement companies do to make it mix better. necessarily, but you'll see different things in our pre-workout that kind of, it'll be a little, you won't notice it in your mouth, but if you look at it, when it settles down, you'll see like, and that's just, I look at it, it's like, okay, how would they mix it more? At least I actually know that they're putting it into, because, putting it into the product, because, you can kind of identify different pieces, or like the citrulline, kind of has, and the creatine has like a sandy feeling to it. So you can kind of identify, obviously, I don't know, exactly if they put the right amount. That's what we're talking about, right? Going out there being like, hey, how much did you put in?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but from what I've noticed and from drinking it, even the beta alanine, I do get the tingles. So I'm hoping that everything's there, man.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's gonna be a big fight, man.
Oh, well, touching on this real quick on the best resources, I always recommend, this is something you don't have to, but it's definitely another resources. It's a group that I'm actually a part of. It's called the Supplement Snoop group. The owner's name is Justin Hall. Super cool guy. He does business consulting, things like that, for not only supplement companies, but other companies as well. It includes an app to where, this is the coolest thing. And Justin's one of the first people that ever talked to me when he started the app the same time I started kind of doing reviews. So he's one of the first people to ever reach out, ever talk to me. But anyways, what it is you can look him up on Instagram. What it does is he adds products to the app, and you can scan the barcode on that product like a basic person, and it gives you the ingredients, and it tells you the base, somewhat basic but scientific at the same time, of what each ingredient does. Gives you clinical dosages to what they should be, things like that. So, and with that, that's just another resource I recommend for other people, if that is something, because you do have to pay a subscription for the app. Gotcha. And you also get access to the private Facebook group, which is awesome. It's not only consumers in there who buy products, things like that, but it's also other brand owners, big brand owners, a bunch of different people in there, and they discuss all kinds of stuff. But it's just a good learning. You learn something new from all these questions that people put in there. Formulators are in there talking. So I always recommend people just check it out if it is something, especially for people starting out. So keep that in mind. All right, let's see what we got going on next. This should be a good one. In the supplement industry, what's the biggest area you guys are curious about, and why?
I think what most interested in,
anything. It can be from supplements, it can be from data, it can be from anything.
I guess in the data aspect, because I'm mostly interested, I'm in the science and the ingredients, so I do have an interest in, how leucine and HMB, which is the breakdown of leucine and after, how they affect, because we know that leucine increases muscle protein synthesis. Is actually the only amino acid that actually specifically does that through mTOR, right? So, studying that and seeing how far that can go, because it's kind of ironic, as I read more about amino acid, it almost seems like each amino acid does one very specific thing in the body, arginine will have nitric oxide, very specific for that, and obviously you can have L-citrulline, which breaks down into arginine, which then causes nitric oxide, right? So you have different, but the leucine is very interesting. The HMB, which is it prevents catabolism, so the breakdown of muscle, and just the research on that, because there is some research on it, and it looks like it's promising. And so just to see how far actual individual components of food or of supplements can go, in helping people actually get, because, we know, like, for example, testosterone is just one hormone, but if you take testosterone, you're going to get a lot stronger, right? So how far can leucine or what all these, different things can take us, obviously it's not going to be like testosterone, but I'm just giving a comparison.
Yeah.
Like, we know where it can take us, and it can go overboard, right? You can take too much and die, and I'm sure you can do the same thing with amino acids. It's just like you can drink enough water to kill yourself, So, like, it's, that's what I'm interested in, and I don't know if Arturo, what his specific interest is, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like the idea of building a pre and maybe a sleeping aid, like you were saying later too.
No, yeah, that was my.
Yeah, because I feel like those are the most important supplements that you could take, because you want to push yourself harder in the gym and you want to recover better. And obviously the nutrients and all that stuff will come from your food, which is separate, or yeah.
Should be separate. That's an important thing to, you're supplementing your diet, right? So, people don't understand that. They think they're going to take whey protein.
Right.
No, whey protein is an extra 20 grams of protein that if you're, working out, you're going to need. So especially if you're in calorie deficit, right? And you're trying to lose body fat, right? So that's an important thing to mention, because people will be like, I'm going to take, in the morning, 1 scoop of protein, like eat protein for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, doesn't work that way.
No, yeah, and that's another thing with the industry is the misconception of supplements. Supplements are just that. They are not a magic pill. They are nothing. They're 10% to get you where you need to be. The other 90% is your diet, is your habits, things like that. So that is another misconception out there. And when you can be fully honest with your customers, because there are brands out there that be like, oh yeah, well they make the false claim of this is gonna grow you 110% muscle in a week. That ain't true. You can't say that because you don't know what they're doing.
How is that gonna happen? This is just and that's why I was, in the very beginning when I was like, some of these supplements promise like 300 studies have shown 300% increase in growth hormone. It's like one study, dude, one random study, and it's like I guess they can claim it, whatever, but it's like it's not really gonna, it's not gonna work, and because if it did work, it would, like, why would people take steroids?
Yeah.
Work, like it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's another thing, when you really, creatine is probably the most studied thing in this, like we talked about earlier, but all these other ingredients, they do have some studies, whether they're good studies or not. But then the other problem is there's not studies when you start combining all these ingredients together. That is one thing that you've got to keep an open mind when you start taking this stuff, because really I'm the experiment. You're experimenting with your own body, and I can give you my opinion. But again, there's going to be 100 factors that go into that. My diet, my age, my height, my training, all that. So that's why I always tell people what works for me may not work for you. You've got to kind of find that balance. I can give you my experiences. I can give you my opinion, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you the same way.
Yeah, 100%. And that mixing of ingredients is interesting, that's it's hard to predict, right? So me putting in 500 milligrams of ashwagandha was a total kind of like, I was like, okay, we need something, even with the thionine, I put 200 milligrams of thionine, or 100 milligrams. 200, yeah. So I was like, I was trying to balance out the caffeine, because I know, like, even taking 2 scoops of this, I was like shaking, already. And it's like the thiamine and the ashwagandha kind of like, what it's supposed to do is supposed to calm you down, but not like drowsy calm, like that kind of like stay focused calm, like, okay, so balancing it out, because, and then again, you don't want too much, because then you're just chilling, But, that ashwagandha, we'll see what that does. It's also an adaptogen, so it helps the body adapt. So, I was kind of experimenting. I was like, okay, you can take this, and then you're recovering. So hopefully you can, so it's.
That it is going to be interesting, and I'll be completely honest with you up front. I'm not an L-theanine kind of guy in my pre-workout. I have seen some good things from it, but a lot of people will put it in their pre-workout not only for the calming, but some studies do show when you compare it with caffeine, it does actually help from a nootropic or focus standpoint as well. So that is a lot of times why you'll see it in there as well. Normally I like to see my caffeine slightly higher than the L-theanine, but we're going to see how that goes. But I am interested to see the ashwagandha in there. I can't remember off the top of my head if I've had a pre-workout yet that has had it in there. So the adaptogen aspect is going to be sweet.
Yeah, I haven't seen ashwagandha yet. And then the L-Dopa was kind of an experiment too, L-Dopa is, it's just dopamine. So what it's supposed to do, is what dopamine does, kind of motivate you, again, experimental, to kind of see, so.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, this label is definitely different. I'm excited and intrigued to kind of see how it goes, but I'm going to run it through a bunch of different tests and we're going to see from there. But, now, being curious on the scientific aspect with things is a good thing as well, because you really want to know, like we were just talking about, these studies. Yeah, you can read studies all day, but if you actually break down some of the studies suck. Like they may have seen X amount, but some of the variables that go within these studies, it's like people were able to go out and do whatever they wanted. They weren't in a controlled atmosphere.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, really, is that study, I don't know. I guess there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, and especially, with like, how are you going to study like gaining muscle over a period of time? You literally would have to have them have the same amount of sleep, exact same nutrition. They would have to be like walking the same distance, because already if I walk, 100 meters more than the other guy, I'm burning more calories. That's going to affect my metabolism. That's going to affect whether I'm gaining or losing muscle. If I'm on that borderline where I need, if I need 2,000 to maintain my body weight and I'm eating 50 less because I'm walking 100 meters more than that other dude, then at the end of the week, it's going to be a big difference. That's what people don't realize too. Like, with losing weight or whatever, it's like you start with those small increments and it will add up in the long term, because it's over time. If you stop eating for 3 days, yes, you'll lose weight, really quick, but if you can't maintain that, and you're going to come back, then there's no point, because over time you might as well, not even do anything, because you're over time you're going to be the same. Most of the time you're just going to be gaining weight, and you're going to be less and less motivated to do so. So so you cut down the calories, and you're trying to see a little bit of weight loss, and it's kind of funny, because people look at the weight, the number, and I can gain a good like 5 to 10 pounds of just water, like just drinking a lot of water, and and it's like, you can't look at the weight. Look at your body. Like, look in the mirror and look at your body, and then imagine how you want it to look. And then you start by like, okay, what's the unhealthiest thing in my diet, and then you kick it out. You're just like, I'm just going to stop eating that, that one thing, and you cut down, 50, 100 calories or whatever it may be, and you keep going, and you try not to, compensate. Like, I'm going to switch ice cream for cereal or something like that. Just be like, okay, no, eating ice cream every night, for 3 years straight. Like, I'm going to stop eating ice cream, I'm going to, if I need to eat something, try to eat something, like apple or something, I don't know, something, and then you're 50 calories down, and then at the end of the week, it's, 200 calories or whatever, whatever the math is. And then after the month, it's 1,000. And then once you do the calculation for how many calories is how much weight, then you'll know, how much actual weight you lost, not water weight, and so it's,
Yeah, when it comes to water weight and stuff, I wrestled through middle school all the way up and supposed to wrestle in college. So I know all about cutting weight, cutting water weight, and gaining it back. So
how much you lose.
I used to cut when I was, let's see, when I started wrestling in high school, I would cut, my natural body weight was like 185 or something like that. I would cut all the way down to 145 in a month.
Mm-hmm. Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To start season.
Body.
So my metabolism is still messed up to this day. Like I can only eat once a day, twice a day if I force myself sometimes. So it definitely, the body is interesting. When you actually sit down and think about it or deep dive and look at it, the body works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, and it's kind of messed up because your brain, you know, is it's in that connection, you know. So I know exactly what you're saying because I have an issue with eating as well, eating enough. That is so, you know, and yeah, and that's why I was also, you know, I wrestled, you know, in middle or in high school, and so you know, I was lucky because I was always starving. So I was always body weight, but I was always miserable. Like I was during practice, we would be watching the technique, you know, and I'd pass out because I'd be so tired, you know, no carbs, nothing, you know, and then plus I was in the gym for 3 hours because that was more important than wrestling, you know, so I was already in the gym for 3 hours, and then I had wrestling for 3 hours, and it was just like, you know, so but it's interesting how the brain, you know, comes into the play, like where you know, your brain gets used to it, and then it's like hard to rewire that not eat, you know, like waking up and eating. Like I've never ate breakfast. Now I have to like wake up and I'm like, damn it, dude, I have to make
you know, like, So
and
from high school, talking about that, you know, like once I was supposed to go to college and wrestle, and then I ended up having kids, so that didn't fall through. But anyways, from there I got super unhealthy. But then anytime I correspond a diet now, it goes back to wrestling. And, you know, the only things I can think about is wearing a sauna suit, cardio, and eating steamed chicken and green beans once a day. Those are like, you know, the things that like my mind goes to. And I can't break that habit. It's always been that way. And over the last year, because the last year has been the best shape I've been in since I was in high school. I dropped from 225. I'm down to like 175 right now. Just working out, you know, doing normal stuff. And but a lot of that is that wrestling mindset though still. So it's crazy, like you're saying, the brain and stomach, the way they work together. So interesting.
Yeah, and you know, and you can see other extreme aspects, you know, like people who are overweight, you know, they have the same exact problem. It's just a different way that their brain caught the perception of that problem, you know. Maybe you know, you can have a relapse like I could just imagine, you know, if you're wrestling and you're losing that much weight, and then all of a sudden you can eat, that you're gonna just go on you know, you're gonna go kill yourself basically, because you might think you know, your brain will panic, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna die, you know, I'm hungry, like I need to go eat, you know. So it can be, you know, and they do that. I know for sure with starving people that they have to feed them, you know, small amount, you know, because it's just, you know, the body has to adapt, right? So it'll start, you know, your stomach shrinks, you know, then you start losing fat, then muscle, then eventually nervous system, you know, everything. And so yeah, it's interesting. And I think that, and that, but coming back to like what's interesting about, I guess it's not necessarily the supplement industry, but the psychology of just in general, I guess, psychology, because you know, that has a huge thing to, even with lifting, you know, like just believing and being, you know, like, okay, you know, I can lift this weight, or doing whatever you need to get into that mental state where you get maybe a little bit more adrenaline, just so you can get through a heavy lift and get to the next level.
So back to what we were saying with the whole psychology thing, I do want to say one thing with that, tying it to the diet thing. The best diet is the diet that you can stick to and maintain. I cannot stand when someone asks, like, hey, what's the best diet? And I hear someone say, oh, well, this is the best diet that's going to work. No, it's not, because it's the best diet is what you can stick to, what you can maintain, and that helps you.
Yeah, the diet is not an actual diet like the keto diet and all that stuff. It's just a change in your lifestyle, and that you can keep forever. That's the best diet.
Yeah, so
And
that's
you know, you got to be happy too. You know, people don't understand like, oh, if you want to have perfect physique, you got to be unhappy. Well, you know, there's a lot of things. You know, you nowadays you can supplement a lot of things. You know, with stevia and things like that, and you can actually enjoy better meals these days with having less calories than maybe back in like I can't imagine when Arnold used to like have a cake. It used to just be a cake with pure sugar, like there was no option, for substitute, like, and so you can be a lot happier nowadays. I feel like, you have a lot more options, you can get all sorts of food from all over the world. It's not just like, the stuff around you. So you can really get kind of creative, and so I don't
that.
know.
Well, that's the interesting thing. You got back in the I'm going to say back in the day because that was not too long prior to me, 70s, 80s. But back then, a lot of the food that was made wasn't as naturally, it wasn't already processed and a lot of that stuff. So I think people, back in the day, literally, that's why people lived a lot longer than they do now. That's the only kind of common denominator thing that I can figure out through mycologically thinking.
Definitely a good point, like maybe they didn't have as much pleasure eating, because it was kind of, lower salt, probably just like lower sugar, lower fat, because they didn't have, they didn't fry everything in oil, or whatever. So that definitely is a good point. And I guess now we're kind of, we're, how do you say it? Kind of spoiled, like everything has to taste great, and it's like, So I think it definitely that's true. That's a whole different way to
yeah. But you're right. You've got to give and take. It's not going to be a perfect. A diet isn't going to be fun, like always fun, but it doesn't have to be terrible. I mean, it's out like we were just talking about. It's all in the choices you can make. Are you going to pick eating 2 apples over a bowl of cereal, whatever it may be. But there's stuff out there that is good. So
try to eat like 500 calories of apples, man.
Yeah.
Good luck. You'll probably not halfway,
Yeah. So
and that's a it's just it's important to understand that there are some foods that fill you up faster. Like that'll help you. It depends on what your problem is. Again, I feel like if you feel like you're hungry all the time, that's different than if you're always like, I feel like I'm craving sugar, or and things like that, so I don't know, you got to kind of identify, be self-aware and identify, okay, that's my issue specifically. What are my options to deal with this specific issue, So
that is so important that you kind of transition into that, because think about it this way as well, asking more questions about specifics, because people say, well, what's the best pre-workout? And if someone gives you a outright answer without knowing your history or your background, that they can't do that, because that's just either their preference or they're making money from it. I don't know, but you've got to know more, like you said. What's their issue? If they stay hungry, it could be a GI issue to where they just need something to help process, intestines, things like that. So you've got to be able to ask more questions before you can give an outright answer.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like a trainer. I have my trainer's license, and so that like if obviously there's different goals, but also there's different body types and different people, and again, you're kind of even helping them with that food struggle, as well. So you need to combine all that and see and identify, what would be the best program for this kind of person, because some people gain strength a lot faster. Some people, are a lot more endurance based, and so it really depends, and you got to work, and some people have pains and immobilities, and they can't squat properly, and they can't do this. You have to do a whole, you might have thought let's set you up with this, and then you realize, oh my God, you can't squat properly. So now we have to go back, and we have to, build your squat up, from the base, because I mean everything you do is basically in squat.
Yeah.
So it's like. Putting the bits and pieces, together, and we're all different, and that's why we all look different, that's why we all eat things, that's why we, So different psychological barriers and whatnot, with food or whatever. So
Yeah,
it's
I agree. I agree. I mean, we're on the same lines. I mean, and I think once people are able, but it's never going to be this way. But once people are able to realize that and realize these things, to where there's more to it than just a direct answer, then it'll be better for everyone. But it's never going to happen, because most people who give those direct answers are incentivized or something to tell you, look, this is the best. This is going to give you that 300% muscle mass you need.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna. Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff in the industry that definitely needs to change.
Yeah.
All right, so we're towards the end here. The next thing is I want you guys to be able to tell our viewers where they can find your brand products.
SpartansPhysique.com. So it should be kind of try to make it easy to remember. So it's just like Spartans Physique, and they can see our product there. We kind of have all the ingredients broken down, for them. So, come check it out. Hopefully people like it. Leave reviews, please. Let us know. What's going on.
And you're on Instagram.
On Instagram, on Facebook as well. Spartans Physique. All of it's all Spartans Physique. If you don't know, just write Spartans Physique.
Smart. That's a smart way to do it.
Yeah. So.
Okay. On our Instagram, we appear as Spartans Physique Official.
Yeah, official. Yeah, Spartans Physique Official. So.
Okay, cool. I'll be sure everybody watching, I'll link all that down in the description as well, so you can see the website, you can see their Instagram, and then from there, do whatever you need to do.
Sounds good, man. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. So I always want to end on a off the wall kind of question type deal, and then we can go from there. So both of you, what's the most unusual thing you've ever eaten?
What's an unusual thing I've ever eaten? Are we talking about flavor, texture?
Whatever.
It
can be a drink. The weirdest thing you ever drank can be there too.
One of the most unusual flavors that I've had is obviously L-leucine by itself. That thing is rough. Yeah. And on the food side, I don't know. Hard to say.
I mean, oysters are pretty. I mean, I don't mind oysters. I'll eat them, but they're pretty.
Yeah.
They're pretty weird, Like I just think the texture is weird, and you can smell the ocean too, so it's kind of weird because we live in the mountains, and when you're eating oysters here, it feels a little. But
fair. That's fair.
Squid's pretty weird. Unusual.
Man, you branch out way more than I do, man. I mean, I've ate some deer. I mean,
deer? I feel like we eat that all the time.
I have a good one. So I'm actually from Mexico, and over there we do like the cow brains and tongue.
Oh, there you go.
And tacos. It's actually really good. Yeah.
Really?
Really good. Yeah.
What would you compare it to?
I don't know.
Chewing
is good.
Yeah, there's not really a good comparison.
Do you like together, like tongue and brains, or is it like separate? Or?
Yeah. Oh yeah, together.
I think.
Yeah, I mean you can have them. You can have
chewy,
them,
right? Like it's pretty like.
Tongue. You've had tongue. Yeah.
Tongue. Yeah, I've had tongue.
But you haven't had brains. Yeah.
Brains.
It's.
Okay.
You can have them separate, but I've had it together in the same thing, and it's pretty good.
I think you won that one.
Yeah. Does it taste like the cow's midsection?
It was just very fatty.
No.
Yeah,
sorry.
It was just something happened over here with
I was getting a call. Sorry.
It was just very fatty. It's really good.
Hey, you got me beat. Like I said, I'm not one to really venture out.
You just not eat deer often, or is that like?
No, we do. I live in kind of the rural part, like country. I grew up there,
Yeah,
so it's normal. But that's Some people who live out west, sometimes they're like, really? Y'all eat deer? We don't really do that. So.
Right. Oh, okay. I mean, that's interesting. Yeah,
I'm sure people here do that too.
No, they eat deer, elk. I know a lot of people.
Oh, no, I've never had elk. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I've had elk.
Yeah, my brother just caught an elk not too long ago. So.
Wait, y'all can kill them there? Is it like legal?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to get a license and things like that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They only have a permit for a certain amount. Just they do it to keep the populations balanced, so that way, for the environment. So, so they give out a couple permits. You can get a bear permit too. You can catch a bear. I've never had bear meat, but
I haven't had that either. That's on my list. I actually interested.
Yeah, but I think you have to be careful. There's some sort of like disease in the bear or something that you can get, and it eats your nervous system or your muscle or something.
I'll just stick to
something.
Cow.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, that's a good little off the wall question there. So we'll start wrapping this up. The one thing I always like to ask as well, is there anything you guys would like to add, maybe that I didn't ask?
I mean, we went on many tangents, so I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
Kind of in a nice
way, but yeah.
Hey, I think
that's how we do it here.
Video, by the way, this is our first video on social media, so.
Hey,
this is
we're doing good, man. I mean, hey, it's been fun. It's been some learning, so. Another thing, that I'm going to try to do, which when it was two of us, it's going to be a lot easier, but it's going to take a lot more time now, is trying to bring some brands on together in a meeting like this and have like a round table, just some topics within the industry and everybody kind of talk through what they know, their opinions. And then at the end of the day, whether we agree or disagree, we're still friends. That's right. How we do it here. We respect everybody's opinion and kind of move from there. So. We can definitely, like I said, we can set up some more stuff and kind of work through that through the process whenever we both have some free time, that is.
Definitely. Yeah, let us know. Sounds good.
Okay. All right.